back to Talking with Our Traders, a Caesar Sportsbook original series, the podcast that takes you inside the mind of the sportsbook with our very own Caesar Sportsbook traders. I'm your host, Cindi Edwards, and with me today and all season long, Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading here at Caesar Sportsbook.
Hello there.
And Joey Fiesel, Head of Football here at Caesars.
Hello.
Okay, guys, the college football playoff begins this weekend, but before we get into all of that excitement, I have a few questions to ask. Joey, Arch Manning will be returning to Texas next season. Will he be the Heisman favorite for next year?
So Arch Manning's definitely going to be in the conversation, especially with another year of development under his belt. We know Texas is going to be talented next year, but I think it's too early to call him the favorite. I think a lot is going to depend how this transfer portal shakes out. There's a lot of quarterbacks, and depending where they land, might make an impact of someone else being a favorite here. So Arch is certainly going to be in the conversation, right? He had a really tough go at it. I think there was a lot of just pressure on him in the early part that he was God's gift to the earth, and he didn't kind of outperform to be that top tier guy. But later in the season, certainly improved, certainly developed. He's got the pedigree, he's got the resources. So he certainly is going to be in the mix, but I'm not sure he's going to be the favorite just yet.
I'll go one better. He will be favorite. Only because another year under his belt, experience, same offense. Texas will make a push again. You just don't know how the transfer portal quarterbacks will land on how quick they get to the system, etc. So he was plenty short enough last year. Was he 4-1 start the year? Yeah. There's no reason he's not going to be favorite.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of that transfer portal, Dylan Raiola has entered the transfer portal. Where do you think is the best fit for him?
I got a couple different places that I think would be just a really good fit. First of all, Oregon. Oregon's just a really good fit, just the scheme. It doesn't require just a lot of learning. It's a really friendly system for quarterbacks. We've seen Dylan Gabriel get drafted to the NFL. We've seen Bo Nix have some success, especially this past weekend. I don't think he's quite there yet, but that one's a very favorable. And someone like Raiola, who was very touted out of high school, you were on Nebraska, so they seem to have the Jets mindset of college football where they just can never get to where they need to get despite the talent. On the other hand, I got Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is a really good one to have just a great defense behind you. Raiola's kind of an interesting character. He wants to be Patrick Mahomes. So I think he has the talent underneath them. It's just having the leadership there, and I think Oklahoma provides a lot of leadership there. We saw Mateer, although not healthy throughout the year, they're in the playoff and they got where they needed to go, and especially behind a really good defense. So I think those two programs is, if I was Raiola, who I'd be eyeing as having success, be able to get to the next level and compete for the college football playoff.
Joey had to explain to me who he was the other day. If he's such a Mahomes impersonator, shouldn't be on the operating table getting his ACL fixed as well.
Oh no.
Burn.
No, I don't care.
Is there any shot he lives out his dream at Texas Tech?
Texas Tech is no stranger to the transfer portal, so if they think he fits, I think they don't want that Patrick Mahomes-esque stuff kind of going into that program. I think they're a no-nonsense program.
Yeah.
But another funny one, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt would be a good kind of landing spot, kind of take over for Pavia. Vanderbilt wants to kind of continue on and kind of be competitive in the SEC, which they have never been. So that's another one that's kind of interesting to me, that he kind of fits that role where Pavia, obviously he made a stink this past week with his antics at the Heisman ceremony.
Yeah.
And Raiola, while not that attitude, he still likes to be kind of flashy and be that kind of guy. So.
All right, well, let's get into our playoff game previews, starting with number 9, Alabama versus number 8, Oklahoma, an SEC rematch. Oklahoma obviously winning the last time they met, but they will have to do something no one else has ever done because no team has ever defeated Alabama twice in the same season. Line is currently Oklahoma -1.5, totals 41. Craig, you've been very vocal this season about your disbelief with Alabama, or you don't believe in them, period. Where do you guys think this one lands?
I think it's another defensive matchup. I think that's the strength of this Oklahoma team, right? Is they're going to be wanting to control the ball, wanting to just break down Alabama, but it's hard to beat the same same team twice, right? We talked about it all year long of if you look back at that game, we know what we did right. Well, Alabama knows what they did wrong, and they're going to come in with a different strategy, so it's going to be difficult. I see this, being another low-scoring game. Total's gone up a little bit, but it is a low total, so that's not super surprised there. So defensive battle. The pressure's on DeBoer right now, right? He had the Michigan talks this past couple weeks, whether he's going to leave because maybe the pressure's too big at Alabama. So the Crimson Tide have and the fan base have no other expectations but to win this game and move on. And especially losing twice to a team is not going to look good for DeBoer. So the pressure's on DeBoer, and kind of Oklahoma's kind of playing with house money because they had such a tough schedule. That was not expected, besides Craig, to get to this point. And so good on them. And this is the game of the week for this first round playoffs with kind of a downer year to the matchups that we're seeing so far.
Great time to have it as well tomorrow night.
Yeah.
This was Alabama -6 in November when Oklahoma went in and beat them 23-21.
Mm-hmm.
That total was 46. There was some wind, but it was comparable to what the wind will be this weekend. Alabama open favorite. To me, that was just a generic market flip from home field to home. And the total is low. But I do think both offenses have had time to fix their issues. Oklahoma really struggled at the end of the season, especially after the injury. I couldn't understand why Oklahoma were a dog at home on a Friday night. I think I like the over here, only because the offenses have got time to fix themselves, and they still managed 44 points in bad weather the last time. The defenses are what dictate it, but I think the one thing, if you are betting anything in the college football playoff, you want to look at the coaches more than anything now, because having been there, done that, and had some sort of success. I think Joey said it a couple of weeks ago. You don't want to give Kirby 3 weeks prep.
No.
It's
Right.
like you could never give Saban a month prep, and that's why Alabama did so well. DeBoer's not the man. Alabama's not the team. Oklahoma all the way.
All right.
Moving on, we have Miami versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M is favored -3.5 here, but Miami will be one of the most talented squads they have faced this season. Joey, what side do you like?
I'm kind of torn on this one. This is going to be the Notre Dame Bowl, right? This is the two teams that beat Notre Dame. This is the reason why these two teams are in the playoff.
Yeah.
Over Notre Dame. Miami, really solid defensively. Obviously had offensive struggles, which is why they lost to a couple ACC teams, which they probably shouldn't have. The Aggies, they had a couple of offensive struggles later in the year, and a couple of defensive struggles. You remember the South Carolina game? They had to come back with that one. They should have lost that one. If we're looking at coaches, if we go back to Craig's point, I do much prefer Texas A&M coach over Miami. I think Cristobal is just... He plays too late in the game to where he's just we've seen it go against him. I think in Notre Dame a couple years back, where all he had to do was kneel the ball out, and he just was kept him on the field, and then they gave up a fumble and ended up losing the game. So I do like the Aggies to get it done, but I think it's going to be close. I think the value here is Miami +3.5 because I think this will be a really close game and within the 3 either way.
Yeah.
I think this is the only upset of the weekend. Miami have had a lot of time off. They didn't play in the conference championship, and they didn't play the week before either, did they? If I remember rightly. Odd, they made the college football playoffs without even making their conference final. But both teams played Notre Dame, and both teams played Florida. And if you look at the form guide, Miami beat both of those teams more convincingly than Texas A&M did. So give me the 3.5 every time.
All right, let's get into some bigger spread games. Let's start with Tulane, Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Tulane played in the regular season, the Rebels winning handedly 45-10. However, this rematch has some buzz around it with the coaching staff. You got John Summerall set to take over at Florida, and Lane Kiffin already leaving Ole Miss for LSU. I don't know how that plays here, but the line is currently Ole Miss -17.5. Total is 57. Joey, break it down.
Yeah, it's the weird game, right? Because you have both coaches out. Summerall's still going to be on the sidelines. It looks like he's still going to coach to the very end, and he has the utmost respect, and which is why he's going to get the Florida job. Billy Napier 2.0, maybe, but if we look at that, yeah, like what's going to be the scheme difference for Ole Miss, and that's what I'm most interested in looking, because the guy who takes over for head coach is a defensive guy, Lane Kiffin, not a defensive guy. He was all offense, all explosive. Ole Miss still gets a couple coaches that will be at LSU, but they didn't let Lane Kiffin come back for whatever reason. Ole Miss didn't want that. But Tulane, obviously, they don't care. They just want to be able to be competitive in a playoff game. I can't really tell what's going to happen in this game, right? Because the first time, Ole Miss absolutely dominated, won by 35, but it's a different time. That's when they're like kind of going to kind of showcase themselves being the playoff team. I don't know how the players are going to react for Ole Miss. Like, do they not want to put, like, is NIL more important? Are they more looking at the portal? So I want to say Tulane has the motivation here, but it's just hard for me to pull the trigger on Jake Retzlaff. So I think the line's probably exactly where it needs to be, and it's about as coin flip of a spread as there is so far this week.
This was minus 12, 61.5 total when they met in September. Ole Miss won by 35, as you said, but Tulane didn't score until didn't get in the end zone until like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So that final score doesn't do proper justice.
Gotcha.
Opposite of Joey's point, yes, I think the players at Ole Miss still have an eye on the transfer portal, but they have also one eye on 2 eyes and 2 hands and 2 feet and everything on the title.
Right.
I mean, it's still the players on the field. I think you see a very angry bunch of Ole Miss players come out and absolutely wipe the floor with Paul Tulane. Yeah. I think they cover the 17.5 in the first half.
Oh, wow.
I think literally I feel bad for Tulane in this spot, as I would feel bad for any lesser team. But yeah, this is going to get ugly and ugly early.
Oof. All right. Moving on, James Madison versus Oregon. James Madison is another heavy group of 5 underdog in this round. Oregon's a massive 21-point favorite on the Caesars Sportsbook app. But guys, is this line even big enough? Like, could it go to 27.5?
No, it won't go.
It won't go higher. No, and it's been just one-way action in Oregon. I don't see that changing. Again, JMU, we wish that we could get Notre Dame in the spot or Vanderbilt in the spot where it'd be an actual team deserving of it, because it's going to be just more of a competitive game, and this one's just not going to be competitive. Another coach that's leaving for UCLA, he's still going to be coaching in this game. But yeah, Oregon, Dan Lanning, he's going to make lower teams be punished in this one, and that's exactly what I see. So I think Oregon's going to grind it out and play to the very end, and it'd probably be 40-0 or something.
I didn't have 40-0. But I'll probably have 48-0 when we get to it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Oregon by billions, I'm afraid.
All right, let's get into our college football picks of the week. What is your favorite game to go over?
I'm going to go with the Alabama-Oklahoma game as well. Even though I do think it's going to be defensively, it's a low enough total that you can get over.
Yeah, I agree, but my pick is Oregon cover the 47.5 on their own.
All right, favorite game to go under?
I'm going to do the Oregon one to go under. And the only reason being is that I think they will slowly and methodically, they'll just won't let JMU do anything. And if you want to give me a chance to take Oregon to not score 49.5 or 48 points, then I'll take it. So give me the under there.
I went for the over because JMU can still score as well.
They can.
Right. My under, Memphis and NC State, under 57.5. Every bowl game so far has gone under and not even close to getting to the over. These teams don't care. So, yeah, for under 57.5. Yeah, I think that game's tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite team to cover the spread?
I'm going to take Alabama plus the 1.5. I'll fade Craig here in this spot. I think that it's hard to beat the same team twice. There's a lot of pressure on DeBoer.
Saban's teams.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I'm going to ride with Alabama. I think they're the better team overall. And I think that just their offense edges out Oklahoma's defense.
Ole Miss minus 17.5. Just 53 angry young men.
Yeah, I don't even know if I need to ask this, but who do you guys have for your upset of the week?
I couldn't find one, but I'll put one that I
Oh.
could see happen, and that's Miami.
Yeah.
I do think it's a really close matchup. I think that's like the most, outside of the Alabama-Oklahoma game, the most competitive one, and it'd be interesting to see how both those coaches go in there. So I don't love it, but Miami.
What's the first time you found one in 18 weeks? Oh, no, you followed my Duke one the other week, didn't you?
Yeah.
Miami.
I knew you were going to say Miami. All right, Craig, any weather we should be aware of?
Yeah. Oklahoma, Alabama's going to be windy, 17 miles an hour. It's not quite bettable for me. It needs to get to the 20 mark. Same for Texas A&M, but it'd be mostly impactful in the first half.
All right. Let's move on to NFL, starting with some news this week. The Miami Dolphins announced they are benching Tua for quarterback Quinn Ewers. Is Tua time over in Miami?
Yeah, I think it's done. I think they move on. I think Quinn Ewers is the answer. Not necessarily. I may or may not have bet him at Offensive Rookie of the Year early in the summer, but he never got a chance to actually get into play. So yeah, I think this is kind of McDaniel kind of saying, look, we have to make a change here. We've seen however many cold weather games that just he's unable to perform in those games. So I think it is over for Tua time in Miami.
That's not Tua's fault, the cold weather. Miami's Dan Marino had that problem in December as well. So let's be fair. I don't think it's over because I don't think anybody's going to take that contract. The only way it is if Miami break a record and cut him, which would be $99 million in dead cap money, which Denver holds the record right now of $85 million when they got rid of Russell Wilson. So $99 million dead cap. That is the legend of Chris Grier, who continues to be like the ghost of Christmas past to the Dolphins. That'll be 1/3 of their 2026 salary cap on one player. Oh. This is how bad this team has been. But the problem is, and the thing is, if they do cut Tua and they have that salary cap dead money, you're looking at a New York Jets win season total next year. That could be really, really low. I mean, I thought 7.5 was too big this year. Is it the end of McDaniel? Probably not. But he is to blame. Does it save McDaniel? You can't bench your quarterback after you get eliminated for playoffs playing so badly the other night. And the picks are just terrible.
So do you believe that decision was a last-ditch effort to save his job?
It's too little too late.
Yeah, for sure.
But we look at all the successful teams in the league, and their foundations are from top to bottom. The ownership all the way down to the person who does the laundry for the uniforms. The ownership is not there in Miami. It never is. You compare it to like the Browns, the Raiders, the Jets. Ownership's bad. Coaching's bad. GM's bad. Then you look at Ravens, Rams, Chiefs. Great ownership all the way down to the bottom. Everybody knows their role and does the best. Is Ewers the savior? No, but I mean, if you're going to get to impress upon your teammates, nothing better than the Bengals defense.
Is Tua officially a backup for the rest of his career, or you think he could start somewhere else?
He'll get a better chance. He'll get a chance somewhere on a lesser team at some stage, but nobody's taking that contract. So Miami's got to cut him first. Nobody's going to trade for that contract.
Yeah,
let's be
no
right.
way.
Right.
And it shows Miami tanked for Tua and picked him 5th. They couldn't even get the tanking right, picked him 5th, and Justin Herbert went straight after to the Chargers. Yeah. And look how that's worked out.
Didn't work out well for them.
All right, moving on. Can you grade Phillip Rivers' performance against the Seahawks this past week? 18 for 27, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Is this on a grandpa scale or is this on a regular scale?
You can do regular and then weighted if you'd like.
He's a grandpa.
He's got some weight.
As a normal scale, C-, grandpa scale, B+.
Okay.
18 for 27 is fine. If we looked at how he was passing out there, like you could tell the mental focus is there.
Yeah.
The delivery,
it's called ring rust.
It might be a little bit of ring rust. But against one of the best defenses in the league right now, it was impressive. And it's a great story. It's a great story to see Phillip Rivers out there. He's talking, all his high school kids are watching them, and just really motivating. This is like part of the football that you just love. But passing wise, I mean, yeah, it was rough to watch at times, but it's still intriguing to watch. And I think, he avoided a meltdown, but he also didn't solve anything. And that's why we really get that C- grade.
Craig?
I love Philip Rivers. No matter what that guy does, he gets an A+ in my book. And he was probably giving himself an A+ until he took his first hit and then realized,
What am I doing?
yeah, what am I doing? Look, they almost pulled it off. They needed a 57-yard field goal, Seattle, to beat them. The players were all going to rally around him, rally around the story. So you can understand that they were going to give it a lot better than what they did. But Seattle had two eyes on tonight.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
They overlooked
For sure.
They overlooked the Colts completely. Unfortunately, the Colts are cooked because they've got Houston, Jacksonville, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Right? They've got to win out, and Houston has to lose one game to make the playoffs. So I can't see it, but great story. But he'll get his gold jacket in 5 years.
All right. So he didn't change your mind on the chances for a playoff run.
No, they're toast.
All right.
But the Colts' identity has not been passing anyway all year. It's run the game strong and then play action, things like that. So he wasn't going to come in and throw for 350. No way. It's too much ring rust. You haven't played in 5 years.
All right. Well, let's move on to the other side of the ball. Is Seattle in question after nearly losing to Philip Rivers? They have not looked as good as they did in the beginning of the season on offense the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, certainly the offensive performances. I think the last week was an exception. I think Craig hit it right on the nail on the head where they're looking at tonight's game. They're looking at this tonight's game is everything. It's one of the most competitive games of the year. So yeah, I'm not selling on the Seahawks just yet. I do think there is question marks in the offense, and there is question marks on Sam Darnold. Right? We talked last year about Sam Darnold he's so good. I'm like, well, I think that was more of the Minnesota Vikings. This one's he's being a little bit exposed at this point because he relied so much on JSN, and JSN just having so much separation throughout the year. And now when defenses are kind of figuring that out and figuring out ways to cover him, now it looks a little bad. He's trying to force in decisions, throwing interceptions. And so it'll be really telling tonight how they kind of react with their offense, especially against a really good Rams defense. Hasn't been the greatest in the past couple of weeks, but they still are going to be competitive in this one. It's going to be a windy one. So I'm not selling on Seattle right now, but I do think there are question marks in the offense.
I'm not selling, but they're a better road team than they are a home team. And we'll get to that in the preview. But Indianapolis are no mugs. They can run the ball. They've got a decent defense. They did have two eyes on tonight, for sure. And they still control their own destiny for the number one seed. So I'm not selling yet. But when we discussed JSN a few weeks ago, and like you have a number one receiver and you don't have anything else, it becomes a problem when defenses go, well, throw it to me.
Yeah. Good point. All right, there are currently 3 teams tied for the worst record in the league: the Giants, the Raiders, the Titans. Which of these teams do you think will finish the year with the worst record and earn the number 1 pick in next year's draft?
How do you earn it? By being terrible.
You earn it.
I guess you do earn it. The Raiders will be the team to draft a quarterback this draft. They're going to need it, so they're going to be the victim of the number 1 pick in this next upcoming draft.
Yeah, it's 100% the Raiders. The Titans have had some fight in them. The Giants still have fight in them.
I agree.
And there's no way
They look
Jackson
like they're
Dart is trying to tank.
No.
That kid just gives too much. It's the Raiders. They are awful. They probably won't score again this week. Sorry, Salad. But yeah, that team is. But the problem is the number 1 pick doesn't fix all your problems.
Right.
No.
Right. Well, following up, this is an interesting one. Do you guys take into account that these teams would actually benefit from tanking when you're making their lines?
It's naturally taken into account because they're the worst teams in the league,
Right.
Where they're always going to be just kind of a big dog in any sort of game, just lack competitiveness. But that doesn't always mean that they're going to tank. I don't think we see tanking in the NFL. If we look back a couple of years, right, the Texans, Lovie Smith he was clearly going to get fired. No reason to win the game whatsoever.
Success?
Right. And he went out there and he fought to the very end. They won the game. They may have dodged a bullet, right, because that gave him the 2nd pick, and they went with C.J. Stroud as opposed to the number 1 pick, which was Bryce Young. So, yeah, I think teams play to win, and it really depends. Raiders, I don't know I don't think I think they're going to try to be competitive out there, but I don't think that
They
they're going
just
to be able to
can't
get
be.
it done. But the Titans have shown life at times. It's just their defense is god awful, and the Giants, they're going to give their best effort no matter what. Like Jackson Darts, I mean, he's been in concussion protocol in like half of the games he's played this year because he wants to win. So I don't see that like kind of tanking and that kind of thought process to. I think they just naturally lose because they're bad.
Yeah.
You do take it into account somewhat. It doesn't drastically fix numbers. You don't go, okay, I made this 6. Now let me add in the weather, the referees. And they're tanking.
Yeah.
NBA, big time you do, because that starts before All-Star season or before the All-Star game. So you take a lot of that into account, and eventually the line just gets built in anyway. But also, you know it from a money perspective because some customers will build their parlay. They go, okay, I'm going to take the Patriots, the Broncos, the Rams, the Seahawks, all the best teams, right? Then they go, and I'm going to go against the Raiders, the Jets, the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So you do see betting patterns, and you see it quite familiarly. But the number gets baked in eventually as the progression goes through the year. If the ones that do best betting those numbers are the ones that see the pattern early and get ahead of it before we catch up, basically.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Is Josh Allen back in the MVP race after the Bills' comeback win against the Patriots? He's currently third at plus 500.
I think he's back in the mix by default. But I think this race can be won tonight by the Rams, especially if Matthew Stafford can go out there and pass well in the windy conditions. It's going to be and get that number 1 seed. It's going to be hard for them to come back. But I think voters are going to have a tough time voting for Josh Allen. If he won it last year, let's compare his stats to last year. It's night and day. So I think that's going to hurt him when you get into MVP voting time, because maybe it's by default, but at the same time, are we really going to give the guy back-to-back MVP candidates when one season is clearly much better than this year's?
That's interesting.
He's not in the race. And I think 5-1's a bit stingy on Joey's part and the football team. They have to win the AFC East for him to be in the conversation. Okay, you beat the Pats, which we all called.
Joey did not call it.
Of
but
course, yeah.
Go on.
But the problem is the Pats only need 1 win, and they've got the Jets and Dolphins next 2 weeks.
Right.
They're going to win one of those 2.
Yeah.
So that's the division out of the question. So I think Josh Allen's out of the question. But to Joey's point, statistically, it's a different year. The Rams, they'd have to have a meltdown from the Rams as well. The Rams own their own destiny for the 1. If they win tonight, that's pretty much it. I do feel bad for Drake May. And this is the only time I'm going to be nice about the Patriots.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll see, but go on.
When he threw that block on that touchdown, the only one they scored in the second half, right? I think I said to Joey, I said, if the Patriots win this game, that wins him the MVP.
Right.
Pretty much. Because
I would agree.
He did not give up. He followed the running back down and threw the block. So kudos to Drake May. Probably your best player of the year.
That's who I would want as a quarterback. Someone who's going to do that.
Well, you want a team player.
Yeah. So are you saying, though, then, that realistically the only options for MVP are Stafford and May?
Yeah, in my
Likely,
opinion.
yeah.
And they both have those primetime games this week, so is it decided this week?
May's not going to win it against the Jets and Dolphins.
What about the Ravens on Sunday night?
They're not winning that game.
I don't think they're winning that
But
game
if
either.
they do.
If they do, I mean, that puts, if we see Stafford
depends what happens
lose
tonight.
Yeah.
and May win on Sunday, that
May
puts
becomes favourite.
May becomes favourite.
We were in the office on Sunday morning when May was lighting up the first half, and literally we're pushing the number down on on May as we're doing Joey's review. And the conversation came up. Why have you got Drake May at this price?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Are the Jaguars the best team in the NFC South? They
No,
almost dropped 50.
they did. And
Against who?
A 50 burger.
Yeah,
The
it's-
Jets.
it's
So
the
fair
Jets.
enough.
Their offense has been improved. Liam Cohen's a madman. They want this bad. You can tell it's just they've been so bad for so long that they just want to punch through and be that competitive AFC team. But no, I believe it's the Houston Texans. That defense is nasty, and we saw last week their offense improve a little bit against lower competition. But I think Stroud's the better quarterback, and I think they just have one of the best defenses and a very underrated team. Not only think of that, they started that year 0-3. No one's talking about how the Texans started 0-3, and now they're in the position they are in. I think it is very impressive, top to bottom.
Weren't the Texans the last team to go like 1-3, 1-4 and make the playoffs? Pretty sure
Yeah, I think
they
so.
were.
They were, yeah.
When I was doing my research for a question later on, one article from a known worldwide leader had Cohen as the second worst coach in the league. They ranked him 31st, and then they had Vrabel 30th or 29th or something like that,
Ridiculous.
and they're both in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so good looking
Does he
back.
still have a job?
That's why I don't look back on our podcast, because all the things I get wrong. But the answer is the Texans are the best team in the South.
All right. How does Micah Parsons' injury affect the Packers' Super Bowl hopes?
A defensive player of that caliber is a gut punch. As that was the move that they made this year, that like, hey, we're going for the Super Bowl. And to lose him this late, that hurts. They have a lot of talent around them on the defense side of the ball. Obviously, this past weekend was hurt, especially losing to probably what we all thought was a less talented Denver Bronco team. But I don't think it hurts them a little bit on the morale. But good teams figure out ways to kind of push through the adversity and to have that next man up attitude. And I do think the Green Bay Packers. So I don't think that they're out of it per se, but it does take down the morale a little bit.
It hurts big time morale-wise in the locker room, but he's still going to be there. After Love threw the interception and then Parsons got injured, the whole game changed. That's the only reason Denver won the game, because Green Bay were completely in command of that game. It does. On a spread, it's maybe half a point. It's not nothing drastic. I saw off my number, I saw it was like 1.5 point difference. I'm like, it's not worth that. The one thing I don't understand is you tear your ACL and they let Mahomes and Parsons walk to the locker room.
I know.
What is
well,
that? These
immediately...
are your superstar players with all your money.
Well, when I saw Patrick Quinn, we'll get into this, get up, I was like, oh, we've seen this before. Like, he's fine. He just tweaked his knee. Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
Get him a cart.
Don't get it. Surely it does more damage.
They got pride, you know.
Yeah.
They're tough guys. That's what I think that's what it comes down to. Is like, I don't need a cart. I don't want.
Do you know what's
I want to go.
Do you know what's the best part of pride? Is getting healthy and winning next year's Super Bowl, coming back, right? If you do more permanent damage, I think that's pretty bad.
It's a smart decision, but you know, these guys are banging their heads together for a living, so.
Get me a wheelchair. I don't care.
All right. Well, the Chiefs have been eliminated from playoff contention for the first time since 2014. Is the Chiefs dynasty dead?
Maybe. It's hard to tell to see how this team bounces back. Patrick Mahomes' ACL injury this late in the year, that puts question marks for the beginning of next year, and especially just any sort of offseason prep or anything like that. ACLs, depending how bad it is going to be something that's going to be hard to come back from. They're going to have the benefit of having a better schedule, right? Having an easier schedule next year, depending on what kind of division they're going to play. But they're going to be that third selection out of the AFC West. So it's not like they're playing the one. They only have like 3 games that they're going to play the 1 seeds of other divisions. But they're not the Raiders, the Titans right now. It's a competitive league, but also a weird year, and just how many teams have taken a step up. In general, it's just kind of a weird NFL year. So I don't want to say it's dead yet. I hope, but I don't think it is. But we'll see how they kind of treat this offseason and who comes in, who leaves, and how bad that Patrick Mahomes injury is and how much it's going to bleed into next year.
They said he'll be ready for week 1 next year.
Yeah, okay. I did see that.
And it's his leg, not his arm. If it was his arm that was seriously hurt, I'd be a bit more concerned, but maybe it stops some of his mobility going forward, but and he'll be more cautious about running the ball. But he was trying to keep them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he got injured. And fair play to him. It was a terrible injury.
Yeah.
The dynasty's not dead because Andy Reid is still there.
Yeah.
The ownership's still there. Mahomes is still there. They've got a core of great players. Maybe the distraction of the other stuff that goes on, maybe that goes away if he retires. So they'll just come back as a better team. And to your point, they'll have the easiest schedule.
Yeah. Well, did we see the last ever completion between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce?
Yes, Mr. Taylor Swift is going to hang up the towel in the offseason. And while he didn't go out on top, he's still a legend. And he changed the game in the way we see how much of an impact quarterback, tight end, or quarterback wide receiver chemistry can make on the field, and having the ability to improv and not say, oh, we're just going to run this standard route. Like, no, standard route. But if you see an option, they kind of had that little chemistry going on. So, I think he is going to hang up the towel. He's just not who he used to be, and why not? You're going to get married to a billionaire. We know it's just
the most famous
move on.
person in the world.
We've seen how happy his brother is, like doing all the media stuff. I think it's time. You have so much accomplishments. It's time to hang it up.
All the best teams have had a great quarterback tight end relationship. The Patriots won a load of Super Bowls because of Brady and the tight ends.
Yeah.
Is it the last completion? Yes. Is it the last reception? No, because I'm sure Patrick will get an invite to the wedding of the
That was good. That was good. All right. Are the Broncos the best team in the AFC?
No.
No.
Still no. I got the Bills and the Texans above them, so I think it just comes down to team strength and the Broncos' lack of ability to blow out teams. I think that's very important, that they've had just a lot of those close games. They've had a lot of those close Chiefs games where they're not being absolutely dominate. It's just the chips went their way. While it was a very impressive win this last week, I don't think that their offense is always consistent, and Bo Nix hasn't shown me to be an elite quarterback quite yet, so they're not a bad team. And they certainly have beat good teams this year, but they're not top dog yet.
So you'd say Bo Nix is ideally what's holding them back?
He's holding them back slightly, I think. And it doesn't mean that they're bad or that he doesn't have the ability to. He's just not. He hasn't shown that he is that guy yet that's going to be that elite quarterback that's going to be able to lead a team through the playoffs, get to a Super Bowl, etc.
If he gets to the playoffs, I'd take Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, and the Chargers before I took Denver.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's get into our game previews, starting with obviously this Thursday night matchup. Quite honestly, might be the best Thursday night matchup we've ever seen. We have the Rams, Seahawks. These teams played back in week 11 with the Rams winning 21-19. Both teams have won 8 of their past 9 games. Seattle's offense, as we mentioned earlier, hasn't looked as dominant as of late, but the Rams look like they're going to be without wide receiver Devontae Adams. Line is currently Seahawks -1.5. I think it opened Rams -1.5. Total 42.5. Who do you like here? I mean, Joey.
Yeah,
you got to pick your Rams.
Who I like. I'm playing the Rams, but what a game. I mean, we've been waiting for this really huge game all year long, and kind of this is the one, right? This is the one for the NFC West title, the NFC West being probably the best division right now in the NFL.
For sure.
You're going to be without Devontae Adams, which is going to make a big impact because he has been just an absolute touchdown hound this year and just getting in the end zone and being really good for this very good Rams offense. They had some travel issues. I don't even know if they're in Seattle yet. Going to be a very windy game, which means that they're going to want to rely on the run, that's what Seattle loves. And I think that's why this moved towards Seattle, because they're going to force them to run the ball, and that's what Seattle does the best at stopping. But there's still an opportunity, even with wind. This can be Stafford's MVP moment if he's able to pass efficiently, pass effectively, and score enough points. Beat Seattle, put them absolutely in the driver's seat for the top 1 seed in the best conference in the NFL right now, being a clear Super Bowl favorite. I like the Rams to get it done. I think that through adversity, this is a very solid team, best Rams team I've seen in a long time. I think they can get it done.
Craig?
Rams have won 4 of 5 in Seattle. The only loss was in overtime. The weather's bad, but I don't think it's going to be that bad, personally. And poor Amazon, they've been looking for a good game on a Thursday night since they signed that contract. And this will probably be a dud as well. It'll probably be 3-0. Both teams control the destiny for the number 1 seed. Seattle obviously have to win out. The Seahawks are not good at home under McDonald. They're 8-8 at home in regular seasons, yet 13-2 on the road. since he took over as a coach.
Interesting.
And when this was the Rams -1, Seattle are 0-6 as a home dog, but obviously that's flipped around since I did my notes. I just think the Rams are the better team. I think they have the better running game. I just think they grind it out. I don't think it's flashy. I still like the under, only because a divisional game, that means so much.
Yeah. Moving on, Packers versus Bears, a rematch the Bears seem to have been eyeing per Caleb Williams in the media. Can Ben Johnson and the Bears capitalize on the loss of Micah Parsons?
I think they can. I think, not only that, the Packers are dealing with other injuries, right? You lose Watson. There's some questions on the line. The Bears played well the previous game. They always seem to struggle, right? The Packers have always been big brother to the Bears, and Ben Johnson wants to change that. He made it in his opening press conference. He made it sure to mention that. So they do want this win badly. They do want to prove that they can be a competitive NFC team and be a Super Bowl contender. So I do like the Bears to get it done. Look, I think Ben Johnson, week in, week out, is just getting better. Caleb is getting better, and I think that proves everybody was throwing Caleb out last year. This guy's not accurate. This guy, if you look at the development he's had from the beginning of the season to where we are now, he's playing good ball. So I do think the Bears can get it done here. I do agree with the line movement. Give me the Bears.
Craig?
I disagree. Packers have won 14 of the last 15 in Soldier Field.
Yeah, they own them for sure.
They'll be bitterly cold. They come off that brutal loss last week, the Packers. They lost their defensive superstar. Packers come out with a point to prove. I disagree with Joey. I don't think Caleb's accuracy has got any better. I've seen too many Bears games this year where the arm is not there. Interestingly, though, the Bears can make the playoffs if they win and Detroit lose to Pittsburgh this week. Otherwise, the Bears can make the playoffs if they beat Detroit in Week 18. But do you want that playoff game, Week 18?
Yeah.
No, you want it now.
No, you
Right.
want it now. You want to get the business done as quick as you can. I think the Packers in a low-scoring game.
All
They
right.
don't hate it. Yeah.
I like both sides
Do
here.
you know the biggest
I'm
loser
staying
of this?
away.
The biggest loser of this game?
Who?
James Madison and Oregon, because absolutely
Yeah,
nobody
nobody watches
is
that
watching that game at the same time as Bears Packers.
No
Honestly, fair.
Yeah.
All right, Jags, Broncos. This is a test for both teams, but what side do you like here? Line's currently at Broncos -3, total 47.
I like the Jaguars slightly here.
I'd have to
Only
agree.
because the Broncos are coming off an absolute big win. It's a big win to just say, hey, look, we can be Super Bowl contenders. We can beat one of the best in the league. Everybody's been talking crap about the AFC. They came to play. And I think Liam Cohen's a madman. He's just going to be every trick play. He's
31st
going to
best
have
coach in the league, remember?
31st best coach in the league. He's just an absolute psychopath. And I think just somehow they're going to be able to score enough to win this game. And the Jaguars are, while they don't have all the pieces ready and they certainly have questions on the defensive side, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with when we get into the playoffs. So, yeah, give me the Jaguars in this one.
Denver clinches the AFC West with a win. Jacksonville can clinch a playoff berth with a win, or an Indy-Houston loss, but they play each other anyway, so they're pretty much in. I do think both teams are frauds. I'm not overly confident in either of them when they get in the playoffs. The Broncos are very much like the Chiefs of last year, winning all these one-score games, a couple of big comebacks. They were dead to rights against the Packers, dead to right against the Eagles. The only reason I like Denver here is because of home field advantage and Jacksonville's going cross-country. But this is more, I'll watch this game. Certainly won't have an interest betting it.
All right. Next, we have Sunday Night Football, Patriots versus Ravens. This game was flexed to the primetime spot.
Do you know what they replaced it with?
Yeah.
Do you know the original game?
No.
Miami and Cincinnati.
Well, thank God. Thank God. The Patriots look to rebound from that choke to Buffalo against a honestly inconsistent Baltimore Ravens. Line is Ravens -3, however, totals 48. Guys, I'm going to give you guys the floor to get all your grievances out there. What should we expect from this one?
New England comes in this game off a very, very tough loss,
Yeah.
right? You go up in the first half, big, Drake May looks like he went all the way, I think, to decent favorite on the MVP.
We
like
made
you
him
said,
odds on.
We made him odds on. Like you did, we moved this throughout the game. So it was looking like, wow, the Patriots might be them. They might be able to actually show, hey, we can be a playoff team. And then they Patrioted up in the second half. But I do think that this was a great opportunity for Vrabel and the Patriots to use this game as an example. And good coaches kind of punch through and say, you guys thought you were great out there. Everybody was talking bad. Now look, you guys blow that second half lead. How can we build to not let this happen again? And I think that was, for a coach like Mike Vrabel, that is excellent. But Baltimore's got their back against the wall. And while it wasn't the Chiefs that were able to fight with their backs against the wall, Baltimore certainly can. They gave a goose egg to the Bengals this past weekend. And they're still a very talented team. I don't think everything's worked for them this year to the way they saw it. I mean, I had them as my Super Bowl pick to begin the year. That certainly hasn't shown up. So this can be a very competitive game. I think this line is right there. Because although I do think the Ravens are the superior team, they should be favored in this spot. Vrabel and this Patriots team off a loss like that, they're going to be all out swinging.
There's a bulletin board in the Patriots locker room.
Yeah.
Craig Mucklow and Joey Feasel think you stink.
Yeah.
If the Patriots win, they win the AFC East. If the Patriots win out, they win the AFC North. So there's a lot at stake here. Patriots, interestingly, lead the series 3-2 in Baltimore, but they average 60 points a game across those 5. The Pats' streak of 1 win versus a team with a winning record is still intact after last week's choke job. Desperate Baltimore missed the primetime. Lamar Jackson is 8-1 at home in primetime games, 19-5 in his career, and has won 10 of his last 11. You know exactly who I'm picking, and that's it, by $1 billion.
Let me just add, Baltimore has not looked good at home this season.
Baltimore has not looked good all year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ever since Joey picked them for their Super Bowl.
I also just don't want to give them any credit for the win last week because Joe Burrow looked awful. At least he admitted he looked awful.
Well,
that was all the Bengals.
They were eliminated.
Yeah.
They didn't care.
All right, moving on. Let's get to our NFL picks of the week. Favorite game to go over?
I like the Panthers-Buccaneers over 45.5.
I'm going to go Vikings-Giants over 43.5.
All right, favorite game to go under?
Falcons-Cardinals under 48. I think that the Falcons have a decent defense and not a great offense. I think this will play well for them to stay under the total here.
The obvious one is tonight, but I don't think the Texans can score 38 points on offense. And I can't see the Raiders scoring, so I'm going to take Texans-Raiders under 37.5.
I like it. Favorite team to cover the spread?
I think the Texans minus 14. Like we'll go with the Raiders absolutely mailing it in.
I'm not covering 14 with anybody. I'm going to go the easy one. Bengals minus 4.5 against the Dolphins.
Yeah. Upset of the week?
Steelers to beat the Lions. I think that they end Dan Campbell's fight early. I don't think the Steelers are a great team, but I think that the Lions are going to fold in this spot.
I am going to go back to the well with the Tennessee Titans. They did the job for me against the Browns to beat the Chiefs plus 142. I don't even know who the Chiefs' backup is, but he had the chance to win the game, and he blew it.
Is it Gardner Minshew magic?
Yeah. Oh, it is
Magic.
Minshew. Yeah. Scary times. Yeah. All right, Craig, any weather to be aware of?
It will be wet and windy, especially the first half tonight in Seattle. It will be bitterly cold in Chicago, but both teams are used to that anyway. And we have a bettable one, in my opinion. Windy and 20-plus miles an hour winds in Cleveland again. Poor Shador Sanders. He just wants a home stadium, indoor stadium to play at home. Because, that seems bad, and they're even worse in bad weather.
All right, let's get into our anytime touchdown parlay. Each person will pick a leg, and if you like it at home, you can tail it on the Caesar Sportsbook app, the Talking With Our Traders. Quick pick. Guys, who would like to start?
I should apologize for last week's pick because when I got to Monday night before the game started, I'm like, oh my God, Jonnu Smith. because he played for the Dolphins
that's
last
right,
year,
yeah.
and then he ran for one. It's like they really wanted to stick
They
it.
really wanted
Yeah,
to
of
stay.
Him and
of
Ramsey.
course.
So like I missed that one. So that's terrible on me.
Well, new week, new slate.
So we're going
Who
with
do
a
you
big
got?
price one. Here we go. We're throwing the Hail Mary. Texans defense special teams.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if Gino comes back and plays.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going Lad McConkey plus 150. Dallas has given up the most touchdowns per game to wide receivers, and I am against the Cowboys for the rest
Finally.
of the season.
Okay.
I think the Chargers should be a favorite in this one, so that's where I'm going.
I'm going number 9, J.J. McCarthy, plus 340, going up against the Giants. He wants to prove that he can be competitive in this league. Giants have a good kind of defensive rush, so he's going to be running around there. I think there's going to be opportunity for him to catch the edge and get in the end zone.
And I did like that touchdown celebration as he's walking it in.
Yeah.
He's my kind of kid.
All right. Again, if you like this at home, you can tailor it on the Caesar Sportsbook app. Let's get into our game picks. 1 college, 1 NFL. Who would like to start?
I'll start because
Okay.
I'm no longer in last place, which an 11-3 run will do that. And Joey's already asked his wife for some money for the Harlow dinner.
Yes, definitely going to need some money.
I am going to go the obvious, unfortunately. Oregon minus 21.5 and the Bengals minus 4.5.
I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go Alabama plus 1.5. I think they're going to get it done there. And then on the NFL front, I'm going to go under in the Falcons-Cardinals game, under 48.
All right. I am going to go Miami plus 3.5 and Jags plus 3. This is sponsored by Florida, my picks
Sponsored
of
by
the week.
Florida.
Well, that is a wrap for this week's episode. Reminder, we are on a bye week next week to celebrate the holidays. We, of course, wish you guys at home a wonderful holiday. If you don't already, please subscribe to Talking with Our Traders wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow at Caesar Sports on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube because we will be filming some special social clips for you guys. Guys, any final words heading into the weekend?
We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Football season is closing soon.
No, sad.
And we know we're going to miss it in that third week of February. So enjoy it every weekend. Every weekend counts. Every game counts. And these ones are the big ones coming up.
You're
Yeah.
getting me fired up.
Yeah,
I want to run
exactly.
through a wall.
On behalf of everybody at the Caesar Sportsbook, whatever holiday you celebrate, have a happy one. Spend time with your family, but most of all, be safe out there.
Absolutely.
Couldn't say it better myself. Bye.